Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what the routine of a full-time swing trader and a student looks like. What do I do in order to make the kind of money that I make? What are my pre-market, post-market, and during market routines? And what am I planning on doing in order to achieve financial freedom in the very next few years? I'm going to break all of this down and I'm going to do it step by step. So let's break it down and let's start with what are the three non-negotiables that I have as a swing trader. Now, every swing trader that you will know will have some non-negotiable rules. My first non-negotiable rule is that I have to avoid screen time. All right. And this plays a huge role when it comes into understanding what I do in my routine. Now, the second non-negotiable that I have is that I have to ensure that I'm pursuing other hobbies. All right. So you pursuing other hobbies or other ventures, whatever that is, there has to be an understanding that you're doing something apart from just trading. Because if you are trading full time, I don't think that's advisable, especially if you are a swing trader, right? And the third thing that I focus on is that every day there has to be some sort of physical exercise done. So this is apart from apart from your just normal walks and things like that, some sort of physical exercise that's actually getting the body to move and not just the mind. Now, what does the routine look like? So if I was to break this down, I would break down my day in the span of three different sections, right? I would have my pre-market routine, my during market routine, and my post-market routine. And now this also for me differs because I stay in Vancouver because I'm a student. And at the same time, I also stay in Mumbai whenever I'm back for the break, right? So both of these differ for me, and I will break both of them down as well because it will give you some sort of insight into what I do and how less I am actually active on the charts and how my trading gets better with that as well. All right. So if we start with sort of the pre-market routine, right, and what it looks like when I am in Mumbai, the pre-market routine is pretty simple. Every day, market before market opens, right? If I'm up by like let's say 7:30, the first thing that I will do would be simply to get in the news flow, right? That's a very, very important step of swing trading. It is underlooked by a lot of people. People don't prefer to look at the news flow, but I, for one, have a feeling that when I read some news flows, I understand what's happening, especially if it has to do with my stocks. Now, how do I do that? I have coded my own sort of news flow space. So this is the Winning Edge platform that we have coded at, for all of the members. And you can see that this is the market monitor. So for every sort of, every day that we have the market monitors being sent out to students. We have all of the sort of news flows covered in them. So all of this is my feed, which I get. So for example, IPO bound, PhonePe declares 11.5% yearly growth. So it just helps me understand what's going on, right? And this is US market and Indian markets. How are Sensex and Nifty likely to perform? Just understanding things and listening to what is going on. So like in earnings, for example, Q1 results are bound to come. IDFC First Bank results are also profit shoots up 132%. So just understanding what news flow is looking like is what helps me, and I use this platform that I have vibe coded to actually do that, right? And then this is also shared with the news with the market monitor students as well. Now, after getting in the news flow, the next thing that I do is I try to go over my journal entry, right? Because what this does is from the previous day when I go over my journal entry, I understand exactly what is the plan for the day, what are the stocks, right? So what stocks am I looking to execute? What size, right? And what is my stop loss? These are some key factors that I have to keep in mind. And then the third thing that I do is I place my SLM or GTT orders. So these two things I do pre-market on the daily basis when I'm planning on taking trades. Now during market, right, in Mumbai. So during market in Mumbai is pretty simple. I try to avoid screen time as much as possible. I do this by, pursuing other hobbies. So I create content, right? I will do this. Spend time with family, simple, right? With family. And then of course, on a sort of rotational basis, you look at the charts, because a swing trader doesn't necessarily need a lot to do. Of course, when I'm studying, it's a different case, and we'll get to that when I'm in Vancouver. But for now, this is what it looks like during market hours. Creating content takes a lot of my time because I do this on Instagram, and I do this on YouTube, and I do this on X. So all three of these things. Now, what I want you to understand is that when you're pursuing yourself through other hobbies or through other sort of tasks, what happens in the meantime is the fact that you're not looking at charts as much. So when you're not looking at charts as much and you just have your alerts set, your buy and sell orders set, you're not necessarily needing to go through those emotions that happen during market hours. And that is really advisable. At least I really felt that that changed my trading. And then the last thing is a post market, right? So this is the main routine. So post market hours in Mumbai is pretty simple. It looks like right after the markets close, I'm off to the gym, right? So gym at 3:30, and then post that you're back, you get fresh, and then I have my scanning. So I scan every day, right? After that, I journal, plan the next day, what trades I want to take, things like that. And then lastly, record the videos for the students, record vid for Telegram, right? And then answer any doubts. So that is the simple sort of basis on which I operate post market hours in Mumbai. That's it. Very simple, right? Most of the work for swing trading is going to be like in the first 1.5 year when you're actually learning the craft. But post that, things get easier and it's not really that difficult. Now, if we look about Vancouver, it's pretty simple, because keep in mind that Vancouver is on a different sort of time zone, right? So, for example, if it is, as of right now, if it is, let's say, 13:30 p.m., right? Of course, in Mumbai, in Vancouver, it will be what, like 1 a.m., right? So that is how Vancouver time works. So similarly, if the markets in India open at 9:15 a.m. for Vancouver, that means markets are opening at 8:45 p.m. for me, right, at night. So it's beautiful. What happens is pre-market, I basically have the whole day, right? So all of my scanning, everything happens here. My scan, my journal, my recordings, all of these happen in the pre-market routine. During market, right? During market, pre-market in the sense in the morning time zone. Now during market, it's actually interesting because I have the first 2 hours, right, till like 10:45, which is where majorly all of the action happens. Then I place any orders that I want for SLs or or new entries, and then I sleep. And I have noticed that my best position, my best management comes in Vancouver. And I wonder that if that is because there is no sort of exposure to charts for a majority of the time period, right? So this goes on in Vancouver, and then post market is almost sort of blended with pre market, because there's no difference in terms of pre market routine and post market routine in Vancouver, because I sleep and then I'm waking up right into the markets, sort of, right after markets are closing. So same as pre, and of course, always I would go through the news. So my Vancouver timings are pretty different, Indian timings are pretty different, and I have sort of developed it in such a way that I'm able to become a global trader. Right, the goal eventually is to sort of spread yourself across markets. So you do India markets, right? You would do the US markets, and then if there are commodity spaces to tap into, like we were in December 2025, you tap into those as well. But if you want to become a global player, you need to be able to deal with time zones, and I feel like at this young age to just be able to get some sort of taste of what that would be like would be is fantastic. And it's helped me actually understand exactly what I would need to do if I want to trade the US markets when I'm back in India, or if I want to trade the Indian markets when I'm in Canada, right? Things like that. So that's basically what I do right now in terms of my routine. Now, just to touch upon again this sort of this space, what is very important is that you have to keep track of two things. One is understanding the market breadth, right? What is the market breadth looking like? So currently, if we look at the markets as of for next week, we can see that 50.2% of the tape is advancing, right? But the tail of the tape is still very risk off. You can tell that there's weak participation when small sizes or sit out is the best game plan, because the markets are choppy. You can see participation is narrow, only a thin slice of the tape is holding up. In terms of net new highs and net new lows, breadth is improving. However, we know that the actual after breakout action is not the best. In terms of price and breadth, price is down, and percentage above 50 SMA is also falling for the same 5 session window, which means that they're confirming each other. And of course, the 10-day average advanced decline is also middling, and there's no strong direction. That all of that together sort of pushes you towards understanding that it is a risk off market right now. There's no necessary need to take risk. And that is where understanding that what is your routine, right, as a swing trader comes into a big question. Because if you're going to have no routine, right, no routine, and you're going to be staring at charts, right, this is exactly where most people fall in a choppy market. What's happening in the markets right now, if we understand, is basically a market like this, right? And then you get your breakout, then you get maybe 1 day of action, and then look, and you're off, right? Most stocks, you get a breakout, next day down, right? And a lot of the stocks, right from here you're falling, right? You're just triggering and then outside day and stop loss it. There are very few stocks which are doing this, and the biggest move that I have seen in recent markets is 25%, right? And that is a sign that this market is not good. So when this is 80% of the action and this is 80% of the action, right, this is probably let's say another 15% of the action, and this right here is 10% of the action, which means 1 out of 10 stocks are working in this way. You have to sit out. And that's basically where the routine sort of comes into place. Because when you're scanning on a day to day basis, you're journaling on a day to day basis, you're looking at the news on a day to day basis, it helps you understand what is the market gauging, like what is the market actually saying to you. And without understanding those things, there's no point of becoming a swing trader, because you have to be in sync with the markets. So, what does, if there was one takeaway that I would like for you guys to have, is that what a routine does is actually it keeps you in sync with the markets, right? You feel like you are one on one with what the markets are doing right now. And that is exactly what you need as a swing trader, because the moment that you miss out on that, or the moment that this link sort of breaks, or this link here breaks, that is when you start having big drawdowns and you start seeing negative returns. And that is something that you want to avoid as a swing trader. Now, that's it for today's video. Once again, if you would like to learn more with me, always know that you can join the Telegram channel, right? The link will be in the description and also in the pinned comment. Also, please like, subscribe, and comment, right? It's meant a lot. I have been able to double my subscriber count in the past 20 days from 750 to now what, 1500 subscribers. That is just immense growth to me. Let's see where we can reach by the end of the year. I have set a target in mind, and it looks like we will be able to achieve that, but let's see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me. Do leave a comment. Let me know what you think and what you want to see next. I'm thinking next time we'll do like a trade breakdown again. One of them is, how I sort of followed my rules and I could have made more, but I followed my rules and what happened in that case. Thinking that would be an interesting video for the next time. But that's it for today. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.